Will building a wall stop human and drug trafficking? That is the question we are going to explore today. Welcome back to Liberty's Hill, where we explore how can we create a world of human flourishing with liberty, justice, dignity, and prosperity. I am Dr. Bill Brannan, a pastor at Life Springs Church in Liberty Hill, Texas. Many people are rightly concerned about human trafficking and drug trafficking in America. In mainstream thought, building a wall along our border is the solution. I would like us to consider whether that will actually solve the problem, and my opinion is that it will not. The reason is that it is a demand issue, not a supply issue. As long as there is a demand for human trafficking and drugs, there will always be a supply. There's too much money involved. I understand that building a wall at the border is meant to solve other problems for which it will have a positive impact, but not with regard to solving human and drug trafficking. It seems to be a politically popular solution to a very complex problem that takes our focus away from the real problem, our demand. The challenge with addressing the real issues is that it requires a solution that is much more difficult to implement and will take longer to see success than any term of elected political office. The problem is the moral values of the American people who have a demand for human trafficking, drug trafficking, and an immoral love for money and power. Those are all moral problems, and we must solve them or we will destroy our society. I think about Jesus calling the Pharisees whitewashed sepulchres that make the outside nice but are full of dead men's bones. One application of this is that people want to make things look good externally without dealing with the heart of the problem. Eventually, the inner rottenness will grow and bring destruction. We need to focus on how we create a moral and virtuous society that has no demand for human trafficking and drug trafficking. What we are witnessing is a rebarbarism of America. The reason I call it a rebarbarism is because if we go far enough back in our genealogies, we all came from barbaric societies. The fact that human dignity, worth, and rights have developed out of such societies proves that it can be done. The study of Christian missions shows incredible transformations of cultures that were committed to violence, human sacrifice, and even cannibalism changed within a generation through Christian missionaries. The fact that Christianity in America no longer has such a powerful impact is proof that there is something broken about American Christianity. That is one of the primary issues I focus on in the Light on a Hill segment. The other historical driver for civilizing people has been education. The fact that we have access to universal education in the midst of the rebarbarism of our society proves that our educational system is failing. The goal of education must be about developing mature, responsible, wise, and virtuous citizens. Even if education only focused on preparing people for a job, we would still decline as a civilization. The only strategy for healing America is figuring out how to develop better people. People long for purpose, significance, and worth, and if they cannot find it, they turn to base appetites to self-medicate their pain. Human trafficking and drug trafficking is primarily a cultural problem rather than a political problem, and the responsibility to solve it belongs to everyone, not just elected officials. The idea of building a wall shifts the focus of the problem to illegal immigration rather than the American people. It is easy to blame our problems on illegal immigration generally without looking at the problems specifically. I've already argued that drug traffickers and human traffickers are coming to America because we have a demand. I want to explore what type of immigrants are a blessing to America. I spoke with an illegal immigrant who was working on the property of someone who watches Fox News all day. I asked him why he came to America and was told he came because he couldn't financially support himself in Mexico. There was not enough work in his village, and if he traveled to another village to work, he would be robbed by police or drug lords on his way home. He said they would kill him if he didn't hand over his money because they need to make sure people fear them. I verified what he told me with some professors at a university in Mexico. Both of those problems are a direct result of the drug trafficking into America. Our appetite for illegal drugs has hurt other countries. In the 90s, I used to go on mission trips to Trinidad. Every morning we would drive into Port of Spain, and there were people strung out on drugs all over the streets. They have a large park in the city called the Savannah. Some of the elderly told me that when they were young, a girl could walk alone through the park and be safe, but now if I did, I would be mugged. I asked what happened and was told that Trinidad became one of the shipping points for drug trafficking into America. For people, including those whose culture has degenerated because of America's demand for drugs, America still holds out the hope of creating a better life. They come to America to work, and while they do not pay income taxes, they buy automobiles, rent homes, and pay tax on items they buy. Most importantly, they do productive work that positively impacts our economy. I have to wonder if they may have mitigated the impact of our declining birth rate, unfunded government liabilities, and entitlement state. Those are people I want to welcome to America and would like to make it easy for them to do so legally. I also suggest that our demand for illegal drugs, in some situations, contributed to the degeneration of their society in a manner that created an incentive to come to America. Many illegal immigrants that are coming over that have a negative impact are all coming because of incentives we have created, such as an entitlement state. As long as strong incentives exist, they will likely keep coming regardless of a wall. Those coming to take advantage of our entitlement state, by their very motivation of their coming, prove they lack character and integrity. It attracts the wrong type of people to America, those who destroy the American dream. If we want them to stop coming, we must end the entitlements that attract them. The problem is that many politicians find it in their self-interest to grow a dependent voting constituency through entitlements. American voters must make it political suicide to continue them. Getting a voting consensus large enough to deal with entitlements is challenging because their programs are promoted through deceitful rhetoric that makes poorly educated voters believe they are doing good. What we have is a cultural issue that will only be solved through a grassroots movement of education and action. The American people have the power to bring politicians in line if we wake up and realize it. We are battling those who, in the pursuit of power, have robbed citizens of an education that would hold politicians accountable to the values and principles of liberty and human flourishing. They have made slaves of the citizens they should be accountable to. Politicians may have not done it intentionally, but it is the result of selling simple solutions to complex problems to the public that simply put paint on a tomb. They may actually believe they are helping, but they are not willing to analyze and be honest with the outcomes. I personally support building a wall along our border and believe it will buy us time to deal with the real problem, which is our cultural values. What is immediately more important to me than building a wall is an administration that is committed to the rule of law and only allowing legal immigration rather than one committed to open borders and growing a dependent voting constituency. Without a grassroots movement holding politicians accountable and creating better citizens, it is only a matter of time until those who benefit from creating citizen slaves run our nation into the ground. We are the ones allowing it. It is time for Americans to deal with our own internal issues that are contributing to our destruction. Building a wall by itself is only a band-aid on a mortal wound of cultural rot that needs to be healed or America will die. We must, as John the Baptist described the Messianic movement, put the axe to the root. We need to look at our own problems square in the face and begin to solve them. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, and please subscribe to my channel.